You're tuning in to the Bueno Power Hour podcast. On this episode of the Bueno Power Hour podcast, I speak with Theo Slavin. Theo Slavin and I have quite a bit of history, as I met him over in San Francisco when we were both attending Academy of Art University, getting our photography degrees. This man is one to really step out of the box when it came to art, and we talk a little bit about his photo upbringing and his music upbringing as well, and just some of the projects he's working on, some of the projects he worked on previously, and just some good times in between. So, guys, sit down and have a listen. Hey, guys, welcome to another episode of the Bueno Power Hour podcast. And on this episode, I am joined with a good friend of mine that I haven't spoken to in a while. He is named Theo Slavin. And Theo Slavin has been a big influence to me, not just because of just his personality altogether. It's just his ideas on projects, his outlook on how he sort of perceives art. He's never been one to be afraid to try something different, and I think that's what I love about Theo. Kind of a fun fact, me and Theo actually met in San Francisco at the Academy of Art University. We both were going to school there, and I remembered I was doing a photography light class. I forgot what the name of what it was, but he actually taught me how to use some of the pro photo gear there, and I was just like really confused, and I was able to take his portrait to finish the assignment. So I actually got a B from that assignment, Theo. From that,
really?
Yeah.
I didn't help you that much, I guess.
Yeah. it was good. I was like, yeah,
Nice.
But dude, it's been such a long time. I know you've been so busy, and you've been through quite a bit in your creative journey, dude. How's it been?
It's all right. We're still here, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's been, because you moved, when was that? 2012, 2013?
2012.
Connecticut, right?
Yeah,
You're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm actually planning on moving back towards the end of this year or beginning of next year.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I've there's so much to talk about. I actually last year I got a divorce, and so yeah, crazy shit, right?
You doing okay?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not like it's not it's not one of those things I can dwell, because I'm already in a new relationship that's a lot better and more suited for me.
That's great.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It was more of a good thing, but it's gonna actually help me to come back and be able to kind of see you guys. I've been wanting to kind of see your shows, dude. You have been really kicking ass, dude, with the Brancas, man. Like, it's crazy.
I guess. I mean, we're just trying to do the thing, I guess. That's a really big answer, but yeah, it's been fun.
Dude, I fucking miss you, man. It's so good to hear your voice, man.
Long time. Yeah. Time difference, dude.
Yeah.
3 hours makes a lot or something. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It definitely is. But let's get into it. So
enough sentimentality. Let's get to this.
let's get to the the beginnings. So kind of wanted to ask. I met you as a photographer first, and then have realized and kind of saw that you were starting to play music. So what was your beginnings like growing up? Did you start as a musician first, or did you start as a photographer?
I guess, yeah. I mean, so went to school for photography, to art school that we met at,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess before that, I had like a few bands as a kiddo. You know, like everybody, right? You had a band.
Yeah.
You had a real band too, but started out just like singing, or it was like a school band
Mm-hmm.
thing, like an
Mm-hmm.
after school program, and then from there, yeah. So I guess that long story short, started out musician. That sort of made sense. Um, Started playing guitar when I was 12, and I'm 29 now. Probably
Mm-hmm.
be better at it, but it's been a while. And but yeah, so that sort of, I guess it was kind of a dumb thing when you're growing up. Like I grew up in suburb, kind of near the East Bay, in California, near San Francisco, and
Mm-hmm.
um, it was like you couldn't just like go be a musician because you're supposed to like go do other things. But I wasn't very good at school, and I think the Academy of Art worked. I don't want to give them like you should go there and do that stuff. It just sort
Sure.
of worked out my collegiate path. And in high school, sort of art photography made sense as an option of like this could be a trade. Not super good at a lot of other things. So kept playing music even throughout that. I think I knew I didn't have a band, but I was doing sort of weird like solo person noise stuff, which sounds really pretentious and like something you would do in art school. But I just didn't have a band. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, then yeah. So that was a long answer to a question, but they started as a musician, got into visual art from there, and then kind of came back around
Mm-hmm.
to main creative outlet being music. I think just been doing it longer. I like the community. It's a good excuse to meet people, and it's a lot cheaper than going to a gym. You know, you have to like do a lot of loading and
Mm-hmm.
lifting gear around, and then you can like throw your guitar at your drummer sometimes, and it's fun, right?
That's
But,
definitely.
you did that. It's
Yeah, I think I've done that before. I think I've done something crazy like that before. Um,
only because drummers are better than guitarists, so it's like you got to do something, right?
right. So, in the aspects of musicianship, or actually, let's kind of dive a little back, and so not many people know of you as a photographer, and especially in this situation you're in, and your career path as a musician. They didn't know that you were a photographer, or you were going to the visual arts, and had graduated as. Did you graduate as in what degree did you graduate in the Academy of Art?
Yeah, I think I graduated. I mean, I did graduate. So bad at answering questions. No, I got a degree in photography. I think, I don't know if they did emphasis for anything, but it
Mm-hmm.
basically tried to do photojournalism, but that program wasn't really happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
was in photography, and then kind of went into freelance from there. I was doing a lot of weddings, did a lot of assisting and lighting and grip, and helping out other photographers for very little money for a long time, and then not a long time, a little bit. But and yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's what I did. So
Mm. And so, yeah, I mean, and a lot of people don't really know of like some of the bodies of work you had completed as a photographer, and it kind of makes sense because um, kind of seeing the relationship between your photographs and your music, they you have to kind of read between the lines in order for it to make sense, and it's always been like sort of this improv jazz kind of style. You were just there in the moment photographing, and you were considered as a street photographer for quite a long time, man.
Yeah, I think that was what I did in school and a little bit after for a long time. I mean, that's how I met you, basically. We used to go out and do that.
Quite a
Camp
bit.
photography. Yeah, right.
hmm
But that, yeah, I guess after a while that kind of stopped making sense.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sort of, I don't know. I think at the time too, I was younger and it's sort of like not really thinking about how you exist in the world. It's sort of, you're just trying to go out and live in the world.
Yeah.
And I have my own bit of privilege that I could get away with. Like, I can take pictures in a public place and like nobody can tell me what to do and yada, yada, yada. And
hmm
after a while, it's like, that's kind of shitty.
hmm
And also, I don't know, looking back at the work, sort of like there isn't really a point to it beyond being in a place around people, and how do you better communicate how that experience exists in the world
hmm
needs to develop more. And there was, you remember Book and Job, the gallery in the Tenderloin,
Yeah.
right? That was around when you were in the city?
Mm, I'm
Or
not even.
was that?
That was something. It was like it came after, right after I left, because
Oh, okay.
I know that Joe Guir and that other dude, I forgot his name, kind of sort of manage that place. I guess I don't even
Sort
sure.
of. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, Carson Lancaster started it, if you knew him,
Yeah.
but I think it's still there. He's running it and doing the thing. But um, that that place was good for photography and like had some shows there and things. But helped organize it was like a performance art show there
hmm hmm
called 20 by 20, I think, which was this traveling thing. These folks from LA, they would do like 20 small pieces in 20 minutes. I'm probably getting it wrong. This was a while ago, but it
hmm
was really impactful seeing the performance aspect and how that worked with a group. It wasn't a lot of people there, but just the kind of stuff they were doing was really wild. Like,
hmm
they had a one bit I remember was called Fear Fish. So
hmm
they had a fish, and there were two people doing the performance, and each one would hold the fish and yell their fear into it, and then they'd throw the fish at someone else, and they'd yell their fear into it, and they'd throw it back and forth. And I remember Fear Fish, like, really, I was like, fuck, like, it seems really silly, but you can do so much more by being physically in the world with people and maybe trying to drive that experience more than like being in the way with a camera. And then
Yeah.
you come away with your little pictures, and it's like, I can look at these in my house and I make my little zine and I'll show them to my photo friends, and they're like, oh, that's okay. And like, that's important too. It feels good and it's a good way to develop. But like, I don't know, the world's fucking weird. Like, you want to do something with that
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
being in the way, I guess. So I don't know. Well, long story short, it was sort
Well.
of made sense to start doing music again. And then Taylor, we were kind of jamming around and doing stuff. And then I guess the band picked up. We've made a couple records, so that, yeah,
hmm
just sort of made sense, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that I mean, I can kind of see like where it came from for you because, though that I had, and I kind of saw that you were sort of straying away from it, and that's not like a bad thing because
Oh, no.
it's not. I mean, most photographers right now like sort of just embody the same stereotype. You're either this, that, or that, and the images, at least the outcome of most of the images that I see these days are always the same. And it doesn't seem as fun as it used to be, given the fact that, I've kind of like, started working a different angle in my work and especially living in a in a state where it's more suburb than city, you know,
Yeah.
I
And you
had
have weather there too, right?
yeah,
Like San
yeah,
Francisco, nothing.
yeah,
Not just talking about the weather, but the
yeah.
setting.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, like the weather here is just like so neurotic, you know what I mean? And
Mm,
it can be rain in one day and then hot sun the other, and so I've seemed to kind of like realize that I've been taking less pictures than living here than I did over in California. But even going to California, on the various times I was there, I mean, it was strange because like I just didn't care about photographing. I just cared about being there.
mhm.
You know what I mean? And that kind of was a little bit more important to me. And I think that what's making some of that kind of feeling of a photograph become stale to me is just the influx of images that come to the Instagram, to Facebook, to like some of these social media outlets are just making it kind of like, okay, whatever. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I get it. I definitely get it in regards
Oh,
to all that, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah. And I mean, it's not like that. I don't think it's anything new. I think just the distribution is bigger. It's the same with music, right? Like
yeah,
anybody, I can use my phone to make a record right now and put it on some website, and then it's there.
right.
I guess yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Maybe in a way, it's kind of cool. It's harder to sift through a lot of the stuff to find something that means something to you, maybe. But
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah, maybe that's an easy excuse. Because if everyone has something to say and they can say it, then what's the point of saying anything?
Right.
What? Oh, no, I don't know.
Right. Dude, it's so funny though, man, because like now that like I kind of veered back into because I actually quit playing music
Right.
when I went to school, and I sort of I was gonna like sell all my audio equipment, and
Oh no,
I ended up not doing it,
that's good.
thankfully. And I find myself playing more music than I have before than taking photographs, and
Mhm.
that's kind of where I wanted to get into. Because really, like I wanted to talk to you more about your musicianship because obviously that's one, the active thing that you're doing, but two, it's you're playing in a band that doesn't really like you guys don't make any excuses, to try anything new. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no, you never, you're not afraid. What's been your influences as of late? And I guess like
Cool.
what have you started with in guitar? Like tell me kind of like your guitar journey, I guess, your music journey. What were you listening to? What shows you were going to? Stuff like that.
Man, I guess. Or how far back are we trying to go here? I mean,
You can go from the beginning, man. I'm here.
beginning.
Yeah,
Uh, you remember Blink 182?
absolutely.
We all remember that, right?
Yeah.
So moved on from that about last week, and then no, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, it was like I said, I started when I was 12, and like it's lucky enough to beg my parents to like get me a guitar as a kid, and it was like a nylon string acoustic, and I didn't know how to tune it, and just sort of like hit the thing and jumped up and down. Was like, yeah, I'm playing rock music,
Right.
and I love Green Day and shit, and that's cool, right? Like
Right.
you're a kid, and you want to participate, I guess from there, just sort of slowly learned how to tune a guitar. And then I got a tuner, I think, when I was like 14 or 15. That helped a lot. Like, I guess the tangent, I use a lot of like pedals and crap
Mhm.
now. And
Mhm.
every once in a while, somebody at a show will be like, what? Like, which pedal, if you could only use one pedal instead of all your junk, like, what would you use? Like, what's the most important one? Like, and a lot of the stuff I have makes really weird noises, and it always comes back to like the tuner, right? Like,
Mhm.
what else are you gonna do? You can't do it unless you have a tuner.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I guess that was the tangent. From there, I don't know. When you're an angsty kid, I got into like Black Flag and stuff. I like the album My War a lot, if you know that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It sounds like it's recorded in a pillow,
Mm-hmm.
but just
Mm-hmm.
like the weird tempo stuff, like Greg Ginn's guitar tone is evil. So that kind of made an impact, and sort of trying to go from there and think about how, I guess, how he would play lead lines. He would try to play every single note except the right one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that it seemed like, okay, so that's how you're thinking about guitar. And that kind of led to like Minutemen a lot too, and D Boon stuff and Mike Watt. Uh, I don't know, I guess kind of idiosyncratic stuff. I guess, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to remember things sometimes too, right? Like we're kind of older now.
Yeah. But
Like
were
where do you
you
come from? You know, like
were you listening to a lot of punk like at that time, and were you kind of experimenting with more dissonant type of like sound at the time?
yeah. I guess yeah. That's a good way to put it. Part of it too is I never really like had lessons or anyone.
Mm-hmm.
They like I taught myself, but I kind of had to figure it out a little bit just because it wasn't. It was always just like a thing to do, but it wasn't like I'm gonna become a guitarist and like a
Sure.
musician and do this thing. It was just, well, I want to learn how to like find the tabs on the internet when you could do that,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of how to make your hands work with this weird instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, yeah, it was like trying to do that, but at the same time, just like playing with other people that knew what they were doing. So you want to keep up. And in the process of that, you can kind of find the in between points that maybe don't necessarily work in a traditional setting, but 14 years later, you can make them work with a drummer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
So,
so
but,
what were some of the bands that you were part of? Like, I mean, you said you were like it was part of high school, but I mean, what were you kind of like tinkering around with, like sound wise? What were you kind of like? Were you playing more punk? Were you playing more alternative, more folk?
yeah, I was actually, when I was a kid, like in high school, my first real band was called Dr. Funk Love's Super Magic Roller Coaster Band.
Dude, that sounds so cool.
Absurd. It was like terrible faux funk, like white dude suburban funk band kind of thing. They all wore matching suits. Like really, but it was a really good way to learn how to be in a band because we played too much.
Hmm.
But it was like one of the dudes had a van, so we had like a way to load all our gear in and like show up on time and like figure out all that really dumb logistic stuff nobody wants to do. And
Hmm.
also just like to play regularly with a group of people. It wasn't weird at all. Like I was doing pretty, like learned how to do the funk chord and the
Yep. Yep.
that kind of thing. But
Yep.
it was good practice once I so I did that for a couple of years, like 16 to 18, and then graduated high school, went to the college, and sort of fell out of touch with those folks, just not living in the same town, right? Like you
Yeah.
lose touch with people. And so from there it was like I've done this band thing, but I'm into like different stuff than that. Like I think at the time I remember I had one friend named James Lawrence who had a noise project called Doe, and he
Mm.
was in the same suburb we were from. He passed away a little while ago, which was sad.
I'm sorry to
But
hear
he was
that,
like,
man.
yeah, there's too many people that happens to. But he did. It was just like harsh noise, and would only play in people's garages in high school, and it was like a mixer plugged into itself, and then it would just like full volume, like for like 4 minutes, and that's it. That's over. I think the first time I saw him, I was standing next to somebody, and he hit the mixer on, and the dude like just got a nosebleed. That's how
Ooh.
heavy the. So I was like, oh, that's a way to do music. And then I think yeah. So I'm kind of going. Follow me for a second. I'm trying to remember all this stuff, but it
Yeah.
was so through that. My was like high school girlfriend at the time gave me a mix CD that had like Shoo Shoo, and there
Mm.
was a Deerhoof song on there. I'd never heard of them before.
Mm-hmm.
but I heard Deerhoof's it's off Runners 4, the dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun,
Yep.
you know. And then I was like, oh, I got to hear the rest of that album. Like, I've never heard anything like this before. And so I got into Runners 4 and then Deerhoof through that. And then like Animal Collective, I got into like everybody else did in 2006 and 7 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then that sort of informed this like noise thing. Like I was making just atonal crap on a laptop and then had a bunch of pedals that I looped vocals through.
Mm-hmm.
And like I only did like 2 shows. I think the first one I did, I set up with my back to everybody in like someone's garage out near SF State somewhere in 2008.
Damn.
And like did the 15-minute set. And I didn't know anyone there. I like randomly got put on the show by somebody. I don't remember how that worked out. And so did the thing, and it was, noise set. And then I turned around and everybody had left. So like I had a really good practice. And then I think the second one I did was like a year and a half later, but my computer blew up. So I had to just improvise guitar stuff in this basement and nobody left. So I just sort of looped guitar things and I didn't really have to hear anything. I just had like the stupid Line 6 looper that I still use.
Yeah, the DL4, right?
Yeah, that horrible pedal that I've rebuilt like 4 times.
Yeah,
but
it's a fucking piece of junk, dude.
It is, but it's like, that's the one next to the tuner. That's the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so that was like the second show. And then I think like a week or 2 later, Taylor and I started the current band I'm in, Broncos. So I think that answered the history of that. And now we're here.
Well, you touched upon 2 pretty significant bands, especially in my period, Shoo Shoo and Deerhoof. And what I loved about because I and it's funny because and this is, I'm gonna be kind of going and asking you kind of like your current influence here in a little bit, because I noticed that there's sort of an over, and I don't know what it is, but I seem to kind of connect with you quite a bit. I know that you swayed out of photography, but in that period, you and I kind of had that same idea as to how we approach photographs, and now musically, it's kind of like, man, I definitely identify with what he's doing, and I actually listened to the Parkour album, your recent like full length again. I'm like, okay, I can see why, like, I kind of identify with this.
Cool.
It's true, because Deerhoof and Shoo Shoo have, in the years when they existed, Deerhoof's been around since like the 90s, man. It's crazy how they kept up.
There's like,
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it's so
everyone
nuts.
can just like not hate each other after that point, and also not be completely broke doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of strange. Being them still being part of the Polyvinyl Records label, and they have such a full roster of good bands, before and after, like they've and present times, especially for me, listening to like bands like American Football and
Sure.
Captain
I never actually
Jazz.
listened to them. Captain Jazz, I love though.
Mm-hmm.
All the Tim Kinsella stuff, right?
Yes. Oh my God.
Wow.
I am so Joan of Arc. You like Joan of Arc?
I like Joan of Arc.
Oh my God, dude. Let me tell you, How Memory Works was my album, man. Chicago, live in Chicago, 1999.
I don't know that one actually.
That one's really good.
Live in Chicago.
Let's see, Joan of Arc, Dick Cheney, Mark Twain is a good one. And let's see, The Gap, that was a great one. I love a lot of the Kinsella stuff when he did Everyone. It was one of his like jazz projects he did.
Okay.
Friend Enemy, he did a collaboration with Zach Hill on that one.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's cool. Big fan of that. Owls, I'm a big fan of Owls.
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah.
still going, right?
Nah, they a
Kind
couple
of,
of,
or no?
nah they a couple of years ago they released a second LP, which was pretty decent. It drastically changed the sound, and um, I'm a big fan of Victor Villarreal, the guitarist for that band, and
Mm,
um, and then Make Believe was a great one. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of that Midwest stuff. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed. But when you said Deerhoof, it's like Greg Saunier, man. God
yeah,
damn, dude.
fuck.
Like,
John Dietrich.
so fucking good. I
I'm gonna be
swear to
too.
God, man.
Probably
Yeah,
the best musician in that band that no one gives any credit to.
for real.
Just
And
like play everything, dude. Like,
mm-hmm.
and that's the only reason that band is special is because of her voice too. It's like,
Yeah.
they're just. Anyway, I don't know. Not to get
Nah, I mean, we can go into
fanboy here.
tangent. Yeah, we can go into tangent with that stuff. You know what I mean? So with Deerhoof and Shushun, and obviously, like, now your current band as the Broncos. Um, could you kind of like tell me, well, before we go into the gear aspect of it, because you're probably going to be the first person to talk about with gear.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so I noticed that a lot of the guitars you've been playing, a lot of like Fender stuff, and a lot of pedal setups that you have. I mean, are you highly influenced with Taramellos?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're good. I, I actually, I've only seen them live one time. I think the end of last year when they came around again on after Trash Generator came out,
Yeah, yeah.
which was like, wow, it's on the bottom of the hill. And like, it was everything that I expected it to be in the best kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, Taylor and I went up to this house. They changed the name, but it used to be called the Morgue. It was in Davis,
Okay.
California.
Mm-hmm.
Little tiny living room, super cozy. We played there earlier this year, which is fucking sick. I've wanted to be there for a while. But we saw Swollen Brain, which was Nick Reinhardt.
No,
That
you
was their
saw
first
that?
tour, dude. Like, and that was
Oh.
probably one of the best shows I've ever. It was mind blowing. This was a couple of years ago, 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and like Taylor and I are just kind of right in the front in this tiny living room, and Nick Reinhardt's sitting there, and Eric Gardner's sitting there, just like fucking improv shred. I don't know, and like duo guitar drum thing. It was really eye opening. So I think like I love Taramellos, and I mean they're incredible, and Taylor showed them to me, and it kind of just changed my thinking about how music could work in a way, but
Mm-hmm.
also like you can make a pop record without making a pop record,
Yeah.
which I think is important.
Yeah.
Like everything, if you're not going to go full bore, like destroy the system, like you should make pop music because that's what kids like.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you can maybe help them change the world is by doing something weird, but maybe catchy and different. I don't know. But going back to that, I was talking about Swollen Brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like just seeing two people kind of like mind meld for 20 minutes.
That's so funny how you said that.
Indescribable. Yeah, like, and I think it goes kind of beyond maybe music. It's just like that's kind of how any good relationship can work.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just like romantic or whatever, but just like a personal way to work in the world is that you can sit there and make something new out of that.
It's so
With
good.
around that sort of like whole pollinate out. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little Grateful Dead here, but it was like it was really, yeah, that was special.
Well, that's cool. I mean, are you a big fan of Bygones?
Yeah. Oh, and
Yeah.
Zach Hill too is.
Yeah.
I mean, Hella in general that's a fantastic band. But like,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever listened to Zach Hill's solo stuff?
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I identify with him quite a bit. I got to see Zach Hill with Mick Barr when
What?
yeah, when
Really?
they were in
Like
Visalia.
Earthship
Yeah.
stuff? Like,
I used to listen to that. I used to listen to that record quite a bit because I'm a big fan of Mick Barr. Like, he's
Lutenbachers?
the
Flying
Flying
Lutenbachers?
the Flying Lutenbachers. Yeah, the
Played
guitarist
on
from
a couple of those records, right?
yeah the former guitar or the guitarist from Deerhoof.
Yeah. Yeah, Ed Rodriguez.
Ed
Or whatever.
Rodriguez used to play guitar
Yeah.
for them, and
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
no,
But
no, 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 no. This is
anyway.
good. This is good because you and that's what I'm talking about. Like you kind of understand my like musical language. Like, um, yeah, the Flying Ludenbachers, they were fucking nuts, man. They are one of the weirdest bands I've heard. Them and like XBXRX, they were fucking
Yeah.
nuts,
Oh,
dude.
have you listened to Sounds? I think it was the last XBXRX record.
I don't think I did, man, but that was
Oh,
so. I mean, they were
they
so
were
weird. I got a chance to listen to some of their live stuff or watch them play live on YouTube and stuff. But
terrifying.
yeah,
They're so freaky.
yeah,
And I think one of Deerhoof's first tours was with XBXRX.
yeah.
So it's all that weird, like, not quite noise, not quite punk, like this sort of, I don't want to say deconstructing because that's a lazy term, but it's just sort of like, it's its own like non-genre music that gets lumped in with other things that I think is really important and exciting.
I mean, it almost has like an experimental punk aesthetic, you know, much
Yeah.
like what people try to label like the Locust. You know what I mean?
Right. They
You
always
know?
called them metal, or grindcore or something, but
Yeah,
they're
but they're
not.
not. They really are
Yeah.
not. They were kind of like a mathy kind of band, and for its own right. I don't know how Justin Pearson and the other folks, do it, but I mean, they somehow are able to kind of channel like so many different like riffage in like under a minute, and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like it is just so strange, but yeah, I mean, like I got a chance to listen to I saw Shred Earthship. I saw fuck, what was that one Nintendo band that
Vintage?
yeah, I saw the Advantage
Wait,
play.
but shit.
I saw them
Wow.
play. It was all on the same bill. So it was the Advantage. It was Krallis, or not Krallis. Shred Earthship, Octus, and
Oh
Aqualim.
shit.
Yeah, I got to see that, and then I saw Hella, and I used to play shows with Terramellos back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, I was only able to play with them when it was this Vince, Nick, and
Oh,
the
and
bassist.
Nathan, right?
Yeah, Nathan.
That's like old school, right?
Yeah,
What,
very. That's when they did
20,
that's when they did
2006 or something?
something around that time, like around 2006, 2007. It's when they did they actually played the songs from the By the End of Tonight split. And yeah, it
The
was
drugs to the dear youth.
that too. That
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That too. And then I also played a show with them with All Leather, which was Justin Pearson's like
Oh,
like his
yeah, like electro clash noise.
yeah.
Like, no
Yeah. I've been around the block, dude. I have been around the block.
kidding.
And it's crazy how like you talk
I should
about
be asking you questions.
well,
Seriously.
it's well cuz I mean, for me, like Fresno, California was a big epicenter for a lot of these bands, and
Yeah.
especially for the band that I used to be in. That was my last band, Elmo Marconi. We were
Yeah.
like kind of considered this like math rock punk band, for a while, and
Mhm.
and with the promoters that I was involved with, they gave me a chance to kind of play with these bands. Like, are you like really into math rock? Is that something that you kind of been fooling around with lately?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so this is always comes back to the cliche, right? Of like, what is math rock? And like, is it like the twinkly tappy thing, or is it like shellacky sort of start stoppy? Or,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess in general, I like that sort of sound that it's not traditional rock.
Yeah,
I don't really get down with Led Zeppelin that much.
I don't either. No.
Yeah, which
I
is, everybody else does, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could name a lot of like quote unquote math rock bands, but I don't know if that answers the question. Or Don Cab is great.
Don
Bad
Caballero.
guy. I just don't want to admit it. But
Don Caballero. What about Battles?
Yeah, right. I remember Battle. That was another one. It was like Deerhoof, and then I like found Battles on MySpace and saw the video for Atlas.
Yes.
You remember that? Yeah, so it was after their EPs. And then yeah, that was like a trip. I'd never
Yes.
heard anything like that before. And
Yeah.
then found Todd Cab through that because it was like, well, who's that other guitar guy? Like, oh, this band is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
American
It's
Dawn is like, that's perfect record. I don't know.
did you did you get a chance to check out Storm and Stress?
I was just gonna say that one mattered more when I
Yeah.
found out like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then who's the drummer in that?
It's Mike Shea. He he played in a band called Taliban from New York.
That's
Um,
still around, right?
yeah, it's still going, and he did a project with Mary Halverson, this like experimental
Uh,
jazz guitarist
yeah,
called
it's
People.
amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Halverson's fucking crazy. Like, I don't know.
yeah,
These are like real musicians too. That it's like, what can you steal from them that they've spent all of their life figuring out?
yeah,
Does
yeah.
that sound
That's
shitty? I don't know.
it's kind of it's funny because like a lot of these bands they all kind of come full circle with for me because I mean especially with like Ian Williams is like he's one of my favorite guitarists of all
Yeah.
time, I think I put him above Nick Reinhardt, just as the fact that like he kind of embodied that weird like loop station, tappy, layer kind of
Yeah.
like type of, guitar work. And,
Yeah, and that he's kind of like a drummer, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's not really because he's not so like he does have melody, but he's more just like it's all about
beat,
the percussion of the strings and stuff.
yeah,
Like now he's like an electronic guy, right? But
yeah.
anyway, again, I interrupted you, but
No,
I
it's
always love that about him too. Is like I love drummers. I look up to drummers a lot.
me
I
too.
play with someone who's a really fucking good drummer.
Hmm.
Don't let him tell you I said that.
Yeah,
It's like that's where you can bring your music from is like someone that knows how to drive it, like I feel like as a guitarist it's always like a way to fill in the gaps for what just like a physical beat is or something.
yeah.
Anyway, you were
I,
saying though, yeah,
I
like
definitely identify with that because I definitely understand like that aspect of as a musician because a guitarist can do so much, plucking the string, bending it, tapping on it, playing melody, playing chords, making noise. But if that's all it is just like sound, and for at least us, I guess for me, like I gotta have drums, I gotta have like, you know, rhythm, and I also love like kind of how it kind of I guess expands like the idea. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So, man, we should have played music when I was there, man. That would have been something different.
Yeah. I don't think I was very good back then either. We should try to play music now. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen you play, so I can try to keep up. But now that you're moving back, right? We should figure that out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm moving back. And I mean, when it comes to music with me, I mean like you touched up on something with like Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and the Doors and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
man, dude, I don't give a fuck about that shit, man. Like it never really got me into playing music as much as like emo bands and like these indie rock bands, these punk bands, these math rock bands have, in the years. And I think that a lot of what you're doing kind of embodies that sort of idea where, you're playing some pretty wicked stuff and you just don't, you don't care about what the status quo is, you don't really give a shit about like, oh, does this have to have a melody or not? No, you guys are just out there like rocking it. You know what I mean? I love that about you guys, and I really am happy that you're continuing on with this shit, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So,
I don't know. Yeah.
And it's been such a long time since I've been able to talk to you about this kind of stuff. Let me ask you about your equipment, because you do have quite a bit of a setup, and it must have been years since it's taken you to like kind of build your pedal board.
Oh yeah.
So
One day at a time.
yeah, absolutely. And I try to kind of peek at your pedal board on some of the pictures that you guys post, and you know, I know you got the DL4. You are you working with fuzz pedals at all?
Um, right now, not so much. So we just finished recording a new record,
Okay.
and I used some kind of weird fuzzes that I found on the internet that were really cheap and handmade.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them was a clone of a random number generator. I don't remember.
Ah.
But it's like do you know the blue box, the
Mm-hmm.
MXR blue box? So it does that, but instead of like just dropping you down 2 octaves and then sounding like a butt, it
Mm-hmm.
it'll like randomly jump between 2 octaves down, 1 octave up, but you're playing, so it's like
Right.
yeah. So I use that, but I think I took it out because we're not playing that song in our set. And then I had another one that somebody circuit bent with a photoresistor in it, so you could stick a flashlight into it, and then it'll like jump between high pass and low pass filter kind of stuff.
That's so cool. Oh
So
my
that one,
god.
it's hard to use live because I got to play and then hold a flashlight at the same time, but I've done it a few times. But anyway, yeah, buzzes are cool. I don't know. Do you like buzzes?
Um, I try to work with them, but you know because right now I'm naked. You know, like
Like right now?
no, no, you nerd.
I mean, that's okay.
No, Steven. Theo. That's not what I'm saying.
I don't know. We're just being real. I'm sorry. That was rude.
No, right now I kind of work with basically amp and guitar, and
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
it just really kind of working sort of in that sort of organic way, because I definitely wanted to kind of get into pedals, but my setup usually it's I have this like cheap Bogner like practice amp that I'm using, and
Oh,
is Bugera. That's what it is. Bugera. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Bugera.
yeah.
And I'm working with two guitars right now. So I've been playing with the Gibson Les Paul pretty much like since I was 16, and
That was right.
yeah, like that's like my main axe that I use. It was one of the models where it's like a worn cherry finish. So
Mm.
it's the guitars that have a chambered body, so it's a lot lighter. It doesn't feel like
Oh,
it doesn't feel like
feel
a
all.
yeah, like your your neck won't like fucking like go into sleep mode. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's
And then you
like
pull back and then you can't play shows anymore.
right, right, right.
Sounds. Yeah.
So I got that and I also am messing around now. Just recently I bought a J Mascis Fender Jazz or Squire Jazzmaster.
That's the one you paint stripped, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It say it again.
Seriously, I like it. Like
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
looks cool. Like
It
I've seen the picture of it on the internet, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely like it's a new experience because you're a jazz master player too, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For a long time, that was the main one. That's the one I used to throw at Taylor a lot. So
And so here's the thing is that like I think you know when I saw you playing that the jazz master I was like, you know what, let me go and pick one up. Um and
did it work?
it works. The thing is that like my action on the guitar is like total garbage because I kind of
Mm.
I don't know what to do with it. But what I love about it is that like it sort of embodies kind of like a Gibson feel almost.
Mm.
Um, but it has like, the personality of, of the offender, and it's really different. Like, I like it a lot. It's just I want to shred on it, but it's just that like the action on it right now sucks. You know what I
They're
mean?
difficult guitars. Like mine is also super funky.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the action is not how a normal guitar should be, and that might just be the instrument too, because they have that huge string length, and I think you can set them up to make them like super buttery or whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe half the fun of having such a weirdo guitar like that versus like a Les Paul is like a plank of wood and it's got humbuckers and you can just like do it, you know? Like that one is maybe fun to be silly with, even
Yeah.
if it's difficult at times.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know. Yeah. At least for me, it's the one. Well, most of my guitars are pretty broken, but that one's definitely broken.
So you're playing with a Squire model that I don't remember what it's called. It's it's kind of like an upside down, like kind of like Squire.
Yeah, the supersonic.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
Nick Reinhardt for sure. But
yeah.
it's also like I just got it. They're rare, but I found this one on the internet, and it had like one pickup in it, no electronics, and it looks like somebody just hit it with a screwdriver over and over again. So they were just
Damn.
trying to get rid of it, but the neck is in perfect shape. The action is great. Like I rebuilt it and put new pickups in it, and it took a while, but it's like the fucking coolest guitar. And it's short scale. Most people that don't know me, I'm like 5'2", I have tiny hands, so like every guitar is too big. And this one is like I actually, because it's for children, basically I can play it normally, and it's made a world of difference. I've been using it for a while.
I did not know it was a short scale guitar.
Yeah, 24 inches. The only other ones you can find are like Mustangs, but they don't have the tremolo or the vibrato, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I use that a lot, which is why I was using the Jazzmaster for a long time, was to get that vibrato and stuff. And I hate Strats. I think they're kind of boring and heavy.
Yeah, dude. I'm so glad that you said that, because man, oh my god, like I can't play a Strat at
Yeah,
all, dude. It's so strange.
on paper I want to love them, but they're so big, and
Yes.
the pickups are weird, and it's like I guess for what we're doing, having those weird like quacky pickup things maybe doesn't make sense, or I don't know. They just kind of look cheesy for what that's worth.
Yeah. Well,
Like I
it's
have like really weird fucked up stuff. Like it's more interesting, I guess, as an aesthetic goes. But if you're in like a band, you're trying to make a point, right? So
mhm.
if you just have a Strat with a Marshall F stack, then you're like a bro that's doing it. So
And
whatever.
that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And I've always hated that about Stratocaster players. It's just that the stigma behind it. I know I'm being an asshole, but it's like there's something about Stratocasters that, because it was originally supposed to be made for metal. Like it really was. Like that was like it was a screamy guitar back in the day. It can play hot leads. It was because of Jimi Hendrix.
Right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. It was a hot guitar, much like what a Les Paul is. Like sometimes Les Paul users, I just was like, I don't fucking know you, man. And I don't really care. Like it's really fucking annoying. You
To
know
be
what I
fair,
mean?
that's like most guitar people, right? Like it's kind of like a macho instrument.
Yes, it really is. Like I
It's
just,
the third, like
right. I don't give a
there are better
fuck.
things to play, but
Right. Like, especially when I used to work at Guitar Center. Oh my god, that was the fucking worst, man.
man, I'm sorry. You worked at Guitar Center.
Yeah, I worked at Guitar Center, and there was
Not to be
some.
condescending, I just
No, 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 not at all. This is not. This is
just
totally fine.
knowing the people that go to Guitar Center
Oh
sucks.
god, it's so
Including me.
they fucking they and it's like 80% of the people, 80 to 90% of the people that go there play all the same. and it's so fucking strange, dude. It's just kind
So you
of
said you don't like Led Zeppelin, right? Like,
it's not it's not like I don't hate them, but that's not my first choice. Like I tell you that for sure. I'd rather listen to like I don't know, the Talking Heads or the Cars, you know what I mean?
uh,
Or
talking about Talking Heads, Remain in Light was like that was next to Deer Hoof. That was one of the other records that like blew my brain up a little bit.
yeah, David Byrne
Yeah,
and the
banjo there.
crew, they definitely had so much chemistry. So I mean, I used to listen to a lot of that stuff, but like I'd rather listen to like 80s, and if it's like around like the 60s or 70s, it'd be like progressive rock, like Yes or
Mhm.
let's see, Soft Machine. I'm a big fan of Soft Machine. I love Robert Fripp stuff, so King
Oh
Crimson.
yeah, Crimson,
Yeah,
Adrian Belew, right? That
yeah.
guy's nuts.
Dude, we could talk about like if you want to hear like some freaky fucking sounds and how to make your guitar sound like an elephant, that's Adrian right there. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I think I
Yeah,
have that right.
yeah. Is it Lark's
Elephant
tongue and
talk. Yeah,
is it
it's
Lark's
not
tongue
the
and aspic?
no, that's a Crimson one, right?
Okay,
That's an
yeah. You're right. You're
older
right.
one, but anyway, yeah, he has an elephant walk or something. I'm probably
It's
there. I can't think of anything, but I guess to go back around talking about Strats, the one, do you know the band Palm?
yeah,
PAL?
yeah,
Like, they use Strats correctly if we're going to be gear heavy here.
yeah. They
Um,
They do it differently though, because like one of the guitarists, or I think both the guitarists, use a GK3 or GK4, which is that MIDI pickup that they use
yeah,
to make that the percussive instrument. I don't even remember right now what it's called, but um,
there's like steel drum sound,
yes,
something, the
yes,
synthesis.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that band is wow.
Yes.
Anyway, I don't know. I just kind of get fanboy about stuff, but
Yes, yes. I definitely identify with Palm quite a bit. I listened to their newest record, Rock Island. I got it on tape. And you know what it kind of reminded me of is that like they kind of reminded me of Battles trying to be a pop band. You know what I mean? So
or a
they
pop band trying to be battles,
you
maybe.
there we go. There that's really what it is. That's really what it is.
I don't know.
But I'm glad, dude. I'm glad that you're continuing on with the records and kind of recording with the Broncos and shit. And it's nice to know kind of like you're kind of coming back around like where it all started, because musicianship was the first thing that you wanted to be, before kind of tapping into visual arts. So what can we expect with from you and the Broncos? Like, what do we got going on?
Oh, that's a great question. No, we're so I think I mentioned it earlier. We just finished recording a
Mm-hmm.
full length,
Mm-hmm.
um, which should be out next year, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you when because I don't know myself. But it's I'm really excited about it. Not to like talk about your own project and be shitty, but it's like 10 real songs. Like the last one we did was 5 songs and 5 like weird sort of other things. This one
Mm-hmm.
is it's just cool. Yeah, without sounding really overbearing, it's fun to see like a progression in real time with someone you've been working with for a while. It's
Yeah.
like we've like gone from this place to this place, and then we made a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we just got like some early mixes today, so maybe I'm a little close to it, but I think it'll be good. So that's coming out. We're gonna put it out on some stuff, and then that'll be there. And then keep playing shows, 'cause we play a lot of shows, and that's the most fun part. So yeah, I don't know. What
It's
about you? What are you doing?
well, me like I'm actually working on a full length record. Um,
Oh,
with
okay.
so I'm under this moniker called Lost Loves. It's LSTLVS, and
Oh,
you can actually check it out on Bandcamp. But it's supposed to the project's supposed to be um, it's supposed to kind of mix in with like the photographs I've been taking, and I've been taking like instant pictures, using the Fuji Instax.
Oh, nice. Me
Um,
too.
I like that camera quite a bit, and it's sort of a cheap thrill in a moment where it's like almost organic, kind of pregnant. You know what I mean? And so I've been using this theme or this idea that I've been wanting to do for like a while, is to kind of like mold pictures with music. And so every month I've been writing a song every month and photographing images every month with this lomography camera and this like tiny Instax mini film. And it's all instrumental music. I'll send you a song, dude. I'm definitely
Yeah.
excited. Yeah. And I don't know if you know who you ever heard of that stoner rock band Beastmaker?
I don't know, actually. I gotta check them out then.
You should check them
Peacemaker?
out. Beastmaker. And then what about the other band called Haunt?
No,
Okay.
apparently I don't know enough good music. So we'll
You
check
should
both
check
of
them
those out.
out. You should check them
Yeah.
out. They kind of sound like Sleep and High on Fire and a lot
Oh,
of,
okay.
you know what I mean? Kind of
Yeah, yeah.
like
Big
the
riffs, right?
yeah, like the post Sabbath
Heavy.
kind of like style stuff. And so I'm actually in talks with the guitarist of next year, trying to record a full length record with him.
Mhm.
Um, and actually making it a big project. So yeah, I'm in the music game. It's just that not a lot of people know about it, and I try to
Me neither.
practice. You know what I mean? I try to practice every day. You know what I mean? So it's been kind of interesting as to how like things are sort of working out. But yeah, that's me, dude. I'll definitely send you a song and shit.
Yeah. Love to hear.
Absolutely. So, I guess that's gonna wrap it up, dude, with this interview. I mean, dude, it was a lot of fun talking with you, man. It's been such a long time, Theo.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for calling me.
Absolutely, dude. Did you wanna
Asking me stuff, but
did you wanna shout out anything before we end the podcast?
shout out. Shout out. I don't know what that is. Does it have to be specific?
No, just I mean like what you're doing, like if you have a tour coming up, or if there's any people that you want
Uh,
to thank and stuff like that.
well, thank you for talking to me, and I'd like to thank my fans and the Academy. No, I guess I don't know if this will post in time, but we're playing the Offbeat Fest in Reno on
Mm-hmm.
November 10th. If
Mm-hmm.
anyone gives a shit.
Mm.
Uh, and other than that, yeah, new record next year, so you'll hear about it. I don't know. Yeah, take care of yourself, everybody.
Absolutely, man. You can follow the
I,
Broncos on Instagram and also on Facebook as well too.
okay.
Um, I got to tell you this before we leave, man. I just want to say I know it's been a long time, and I know you've been busy quite a bit. But I am so glad that we still could have conversations and still connect to that level. We kind of match like influences quite a bit, and
Mhm.
it's kind of it's shitty that I haven't been able to see you around. And over the times that I've been able to go to California, obviously you were probably out of the country, or you're working
Yeah.
your 9 to 5 and stuff, which is cool. um but I guess
Well, we'll
I
make it work. I think that's just life, right?
yeah. And
Timing is everything.
timing, yeah. And I just want to say I'm proud of you, dude, that you've kept up this sort of journey as being an artist, period. You and Taylor should definitely be proud of yourselves, and to know that you guys are really making something that's definitely different, and really for your guys' own selves. That's all that really matters. And I hope to catch you guys play like real soon. Are you guys going to be doing any like US tours anytime?
We need to figure that out, but I think next year we're trying to do something bigger. But obviously, I will let you know.
Absolutely, man.
I
Well,
wish if I had anything concrete, I would say it. But
Theo,
but either way, I'm also going to be in New York in October for a couple days. I don't know if that's really far for you to travel.
not at all. I mean, you can just text me and let me know, man, and we'll try to find we'll see if we can like meet up. But yeah.
All right. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, all right, Theo. I really appreciate you talking with me in this podcast, man. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later, bud.
Yeah. Thanks for talking to me.
All right, man. Laters. Have a good one.
Have a good night. See ya.
Thanks. And that does it for this episode of the Bueno Power Hour podcast. I just wanted to say thank you to Theo for joining in and having a conversation about his musical journey and his brief period as being a visual artist. That's kind of where I knew him from. Going to school at the Academy of Art University, helping me out with photography and sort of seeing the world a little differently. I can't thank him enough to just be part of it, just because he's one of my biggest influences as an artist, and he's done a lot of things as a photographer at the time he was still doing it, and I do miss him photographing quite a bit, but you kind of got to do what you got to do, and he decided to take the path as a musician, and that's fine with me, because a lot of the stuff that he listens to and plays is what I identify with. And so this might be a chance for him and I to kind of come back and spark up some real conversations and be part of that. You know what I mean? It was interesting to kind of talk to him about some bands that he identified with. So, man, Theo, I really appreciate you joining me in this episode. And it's been a long time, dude. We have so much to talk about, and maybe we'll be able to play music together. So, guys, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.